morning, everyone. My name's Chris Edkins, and I'll be your worship associate today. Welcome to Westside Unitarian Universalist Church. We are a place where everyone is welcome, where the things that you believe are less important than the way you live your life and the everyday values that you bring into the world. As we gather together to affirm the inherent worth and dignity of every person and to engage in the free and responsible search for truth and meaning. We're so pleased today to have our guest singers with us today from Berea College. I'm not going to say too much about that because Liza is going to get up in a few minutes and tell us about themselves and their college and their mission. So I will leave that to them, but welcome to our Berea College singers who are our guests today. We've been so starved for music during the pandemic. We're very grateful to have them here. We love music here at Westside, and although we have our own enthusiastic choir and band, it's always great to hear singers that are. I've already heard them rehearsing, so I know that it's great quality and you're really going to enjoy it. So thank you very much to our guests for volunteering to come and sing for us today. So we have some announcements in our order of service. I'm just going to go through them and also say welcome to people who are watching us on YouTube. You should see the announcements come up on your screen. But the first one is that we have our Congregational Meeting today after the service at 12:30, and people will be able to join us remotely on Zoom for the Congregational Meeting. We will be conducting the business, we'll be presenting the draft budget today and voting on the selection of a slate of candidates for the Board of Trustees for next year. So please join us for that, either here in person after the service or on the Zoom meeting. So next Saturday, we have our spring party, which is also going to be our Canvas kickoff. There is an insert in your order of service that gives you details about that. And I guess that will also come up on the screen for you if you're watching on YouTube. So please join us for that. It's going to be from 2 to 4 next Saturday here at the church, and volunteers are needed to provide food and help with the setup and cleanup. You can contact Anne Harvey. The information is on the flyer, but I'm not going to announce it to the world. Calling all readers, join our book club. Book club will be meeting on Saturday, April 23rd at 10 a.m. via Zoom. The group selected the classic Fahrenheit 451 by Richard Bradbury for our April reading list. So see the Westside Wednesday e-edition newsletter for details for that. Friday, August 5th, that's a fair way out, is going to be our retreat in the woods, led by our own Reverend Carol Badeau. So contact Reverend Carol if you would like to, if you'd like to attend that. She has all the details and the sign-up details. There'll be drumming, music, arts and crafts for that. I went on that a couple of years ago, and it was a great experience. So. While I'm saying that, I will say that we do have a regular settled minister who's our minister here at this church, the Reverend Carol Badeau. She's taking some sabbatical weeks at the moment, so she's not going to be joining us today. But she is often here in the pulpit and will be here in a couple of weeks. If you'd like to meet her, I'm sure if you come back on one of those days where she's preaching, she would be glad to meet with you. But it is also our tradition in the Unitarian Universalist Church that we have lay-led services periodically, and this is one of those lay-led services. There's one final announcement here, which is adult religious exploration. thinking about theology. We have that every Wednesday at 6 p.m. on Zoom, and the link to the Zoom meeting is in the newsletter, so you'll be welcome to join us for that. I'm going to invite us into sacred space by ringing our Tibetan singing bowl, and please just sit back, relax, take a breath, and join us in this sacred space today. Greenwood is going to light our chalice for us today, and our other 2 candles that we're lighting at the moment. Our chalice lighting words today are by Robin F. Gray, called Daybreak. Day breaks on our gratitude for family and friends, for the freedom to find our own truth, for the company of those who gather here, and the promises we offer one another. Let the light of day bring the grace of faith into our lives. The chalice is the symbol of our UU faith that we light every week, and our other 2 candles, one is our candle to remember our transgender friends who we grieve the losses of those who've died for expressing their identity. We're lighting that candle on a regular basis at the moment. And another candle for all the things that are going on in the world, the trials and tribulations, the war in Ukraine, and any other struggles that are going on a global level, and those who are suffering because of those struggles. Now we're going to open with one of our songs from the Berea Singers. It's one that we've heard before here in the UU Church. It's called Now is the Cool of the Day by Eugene, Ritchie. And I'll welcome up our Berea Singers. Thank you.
this garden if you'll keep the waters clean, and I'll return in the cool of the day. Now is the cool of the day. Now is the cool of the day. This earth is a garden, the garden of my Lord, and He walks in His garden in the cool of the day. My Lord, He said unto me, do you like my pasture so green? You may live in this garden if you will feed my lambs, and I'll return in the cool of the day. Now is the cool of the day. Now is the cool of the day. This earth is a garden, the garden of my Lord, and He walks in His garden in the cool of the day. My Lord, He said unto me, do you like my garden so free? You may live in this garden if you'll keep the people free, and I'll return in the cool of the day. Now is the cool of the day. Now is the cool of the day. This earth is a garden, the garden of my Lord, and He walks in His garden in the cool of the day, and He walks in His garden in the cool of the day.
Ask Eliza to come up and speak for us. Tell us a little bit about Berea College, if you would.
Thank you, Chris. It's a pleasure to be with you all this morning. We are, in fact, from Berea College in Berea, Kentucky. We are the Berea College Folk Roots Ensemble. This is our 10th anniversary year. Well, it's not their 10th anniversary year, but it's the group's 10th anniversary year. And we are so happy to be playing in front of real live people again, because music really isn't complete until it's heard. Until the listener partakes of it as well as the people who make it. So thank you for having us here this morning. Berea College is a unique place, and if you had asked me 15 years ago if I would end up teaching at a small liberal arts college in Kentucky, I would have thought you quite mad. I actually come from New Jersey and upstate New York. And when I thought I'd want to go into college teaching, I sent my resume out to a bunch of places, and I came to Berea and interviewed and taught a few mock lessons. But it was when I walked into the room in back of Draper Chapel where the Great Seal of Berea College is embossed on the wall. And what it is it's a cross in a circle, and around it are the words, "God has made of one blood all people of the earth." And I said, I'm home. This is it, I'm home. So that's how I came to Berea. Berea itself is a college that it's got an amazing history. It was founded in 1855 as the first interracial and coeducational college in the South. And it followed that mission until the beginning of the Civil War, when the founder, John G. Fee, and his compatriots were ridden out of town on a rail on Christmas Eve at gunpoint, because nothing says the Christmas spirit like that. And they had to go away for about 5-6 years, and then they came back and picked up where they left off. They continued the mission of interracial and coeducational education until 1900, when the Kentucky legislature passed a heinous law called the Day Law. Anybody heard of it? Okay, yeah. The Day Law was aimed directly at Berea College. It said they could no longer educate black and white students together. And if they did, it would be $1,000 a day. And it would have shut the college down. So what the president, William Goodell Frost, did at the time was pay for the African-American students who were there to go to black colleges until they finished their education. And then he saw that another college was built in association with Berea, 60 miles away by law, called the Lincoln Institute. And that's where African-American students went to be educated after that. At any rate, that continued until 1955, and in the interim, Berea College took on an additional mission, which we also continue to this day, which is the education of the underserved of Appalachia. So we try to attract students of great promise from limited means. So students who do not come from wealthy families but have great promise. And we wind up, I'm prejudiced, but I think we have the best students in the world. They are really remarkable young people, and you've seen some of them so far today. 1955, when Brown versus the Board of Education happened, then Berea College went back to its interracial mission. They never lost the coeducational side. And they picked up a few more commitments along the way. And I know that as my students were looking at your program and looking at the 7 principles of Unitarianism, which I'm very familiar with because I married a UU. He was a music director for a while. Yes, he survived that. He did. He survived being a music director in a Unitarian church, just barely. And I'm sure that as they looked at it, they realized how very similar those were to our great commitments of Berea College. And there are several things that make Berea unique. One of them is that if you actually ask the staff or the faculty or the students what our great commitments are and what the college is about, they sort of kind of know. I think most colleges, if you asked a faculty member, what's the mission of your college, they would kind of just look at you and scratch their heads. Well, that's to give them an education, you know. But we have 8 great commitments. If I ask my students right now, tell me one of the great commitments.
You're talking to me or her?
Anybody?
One of ours is gender equality.
Gender equality, yes, gender equality. So that's one of them. What's another? Dignity of labor. We have a labor program. All of our students work. They help to run the college. Really, we oversee them and they run the college. They do everything from grounds to the cafeteria to being TAs. My wonderful TA, Ian Payne, is sitting right here. They help teach classes. They do clerical work. They do laboratory work, research work, you name it, they do it. And so when they graduate with a labor record, so that when they go out into a job market, they've got 4 years worth of labor records talking about both their soft and their hard skills, which is quite an asset. We're also a tuition-free college, one of the few in the country. So our students graduate with little or no debt. What's another one?
Christian values with a focus in service and loving all people to the earth.
Yes, yes. Christian service, Christian values with an emphasis on service and loving all peoples of the earth. What else? What else you got?
Serving Appalachia.
Serving Appalachia. This is great because I don't have to remember and they know them all. Serving the people of Appalachia, uplifting the people of Appalachia. Yes, that comes from old William Goodall Frost, who first came up with that in the 1890s. Anything else?
Educational opportunity.
Well, that's part of it. That's educational opportunity, primarily for the students of Appalachia, but also for other students. We have a great many international students, and last I looked, I think we had something like 73 Dreamers as well. Sustainability also, environmental sustainability also. One of our great commitments, the college actually just finished building, putting turbines in, was it the Kentucky River, I think we put them in? Yeah, we paid to have turbines put in the Kentucky River to generate power, sustainable power. So we take our commitments very seriously at Berea College, and they really are our guiding principles. And I stay there because it's a college that tries to do good. We fall down every day, but we get up and we try again. I mean, we are a people, we are a fallible people aimed in a heavenly direction, if you want to think of it that way. And we do talk an awful lot about creating the beloved community, and that is something that we take very seriously at Berea College. So that's where we're from, that's what we do, and I guess we'll have another piece of music.
Thank you. I would like to introduce our offertory because our Berea singers here are going to sing during our offertory. So there's a couple of things I have to say before our guests get up and sing. One is that our Share the Plate partner for this quarter is Planned Parenthood of East Tennessee. And we will pass the plates for our sustainment of this community and for our Share the Plate partner. You know, a proportion of all our undesignated funds go to our Share the Plate partner. We also have a separate collection basket at the back on the table by our coffee hatch, specifically to collect for our guests who have come here to sing for us and did not ask for anything in return, but we offered to take up a collection. So there's a basket at the back. If on your way out you'd like to drop some money into that basket for our guests, so you're welcome to do so. So we'll now pass the plate for our regular offertory, and our guests will come up and sing for us. Thank you.
This is a piece that a man named Iris Stanfill wrote. He wrote it after he lost his wife. He was devastated. And people look to different things when tragedy strikes. In his case, he looked to faith. And he wrote this beautiful song. We'd like to share it with you. One of the things our group does is we take Appalachian music as our touchstone, and then we branch into other kinds of traditional, folk, roots music from there. And the students choose what we do. This piece is very much in the Appalachian tradition. It's a Christian piece because Christian music is a big part of Appalachian music. And so we study it in that capacity and to honor the heritages of our many Appalachian students. So this is a song called I Know Who Holds Tomorrow.
I don't know about tomorrow. I just live from day to day. I don't borrow from the sunshine, for its skies may turn to gray. I I don't worry o'er the future, for I know what Jesus says, and today I walk beside him, for he knows what lies ahead. Many things about tomorrow I don't seem to understand, but I know who holds tomorrow, and I know who holds my hand. Every step is getting lighter as the golden stairs I climb. Every burden's getting lighter. Every cloud is silver lined. There the sun is always shining. There no tear will dim the eye. At the ending of the rainbow, where the mountains touch the sky. Many things about tomorrow I don't seem to understand, but I know who holds tomorrow, and I know who holds my hand, for I know who holds tomorrow, and I know who holds my hand.
Wonderful, thank you. I was setting out to prepare some remarks for this service. I was looking at the songs that we were going to be offered today, and it came to my mind a few years ago. I started leading a small group ministry group here in the church, and the very first session we had was called Intimacy and Ultimacy. It was about why we come to church here in the UU Church. And the theory that was being put forward was that there are these two things that we're searching for. One is these real, genuine relationships that have depth, relationships with other people from our community that we really crave. And the other is to explore the answers to these ultimate questions of life about meaning, what happens after we die, and questions like that. So I thought that would be a good topic for us to look at today. Our Unitarian Universalist tradition has its roots. Both Unitarianism and Universalism have their roots in the Christian church. But today, the average UU is as likely to be a rational humanist or have an earth-centered faith as they are to be a Christian. So the question is, why do we still have these traditional forms of worship, and we still sing hymns out of our hymnal, and we still have our sermons and things like that? What is it that still attracts us to this way of being? and this way of coming to church and worshipping together. And I think these questions of intimacy and ultimacy hold some of the answers to that question. There's a British philosopher who, I've seen some of his YouTube videos online, he's called Alain de Botton, and one of the things he says is that he's an atheist, and one of the things he says is that he thinks that atheists should not deprive themselves of the kind of community and the kind of ceremonial activities that people who come from a religious tradition, they should not deprive themselves of those things. And in fact, it's a very human need that's been met by the form of religious community and worship that we engage in here in the UU Church. And I agree. It's one of the reasons why I'm a member of this community. There's a concept in Buddhism, it's called dukkha, and it means like a wheel that is off-center, like a cart wheel, that when you're going along on the cart, if the wheel is off-center, then you kind of get jolted around, and it hurts your back when you're in a cart that's got one of these dodgy wheels in it. And it's meant to describe the discomfort that we have as human beings going through life. We have a strange relationship to life as human beings. You know, we're different from the other animals that live by their instincts and live day to day satisfying their instincts. When I first came to the UU Church and I had my induction here, they asked us some questions. Are we spiritual beings that find ourselves in a physical body? Or are we physical beings that have a spirit? And I didn't really have an answer to that question when I first came here. In fact, the answer I gave was an answer from the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which comes from the pot plant that finds itself popping into existence above a planet, and it thinks, oh no, not again. And it says if we had an answer to the question of why it says oh no what thinks oh no what again to itself, we'd know a lot more about the universe than we do today. And that was my answer to that question. But I've been in this church now for about 19 years, and I've had a chance to contemplate that question a lot more. And part of my answer goes to this Buddhist idea of dukkha. We have these animal bodies and these animal instincts, but we also have this amazing intellect and the ability to know about the past and the history of ourselves and our people, and to look forward to the future and know that we as individual people, one day we will come to an end as individuals. And it puts us in a great dilemma, this existential angst that comes out of this way that we have of being both animals but also having this amazing intellect and this amazing ability to think about and know about the future. And I know for me, this feeling of dukkha has a great part in my life. If we look back at the religious traditions and what they tell us about the nature of our being, there's a couple of different ways of looking at things, more than two, but you know, they say there's two types of people, those that divide the world up into two things and those that don't. So I'm going to be one of those people today. But there's the idea that the world was created as perfect and that we then fell from grace, and that's the cause of all our problems. And then, of course, there's the evolutionary view that says the world started off as this amazing soup of energy and physical matter, and gradually organized itself over time into more and more complex creatures that eventually came to know the universe for this amazing thing and to know itself and its consciousness. Whichever of these views that we subscribe to, there's still this dilemma that we have as embodied beings with this knowledge of our own limitedness, of our own mortality that we have to grapple with. And one of the reasons I believe we come to church is to grapple with those problems. Here in the UU Church, we don't necessarily give the answers, but we do share each other's answers that we've come to find out, and what the things that we've come to believe as individuals, and the things that have been traditionally offered up by the world's religions as answers to these problems. Some say that as human beings we have a God-shaped hole in us that we're always trying to fill. And that we try to fill this hole with, if we try to fill that hole with something other than a spiritual practice or a faith in a higher power or a higher being, then we can get ourselves into all kinds of trouble. We try to fill that hole with food or money or sex or drugs, then we get into this position where we are insatiable for these things because that hole cannot be filled with those materialistic things. As human beings, we have our instincts that are right and good that have been given to us to help us lead our lives and to survive as physical beings, but that those instincts cannot provide the spiritual meaning of our lives. We have to seek and search for those things in something other than the fulfillment of those instincts. I have some experience of trying to do that, and having come out the other side of it, I know that there's a spiritual aspect of life that I need to live a happy and fulfilled life. So. There's a desire as our animal being to have this security that we seek out, you know. We know that we have these fragile bodies. We know that we have that our bodies can be easily damaged and that eventually our lives will end. But instinctively we seek out the most secure ways of being. And that means physical security and emotional security, in my experience. Our relationships with other people, they kind of make us feel insecure, you know. You fall in love with a person and you kind of lay your soul at their feet. There's a chance that you may be rejected and that your aspirations in life may be crushed. We have people that we rely on every day that we don't know that they're always going to be there for us. Maybe through no fault of their own, they can fall sick and die, and that we had such a strong connection with this person, we don't know how that we're going to live without them. So our relationships with other people are naturally fraught with these insecurities. There's a desire in us to say, I don't need those other people. I can survive on my own. And in this modern world that we find ourselves living in, we could do that. We could order our stuff on Amazon. We could order our groceries to be delivered to us in the home. Our physical security is no longer dependent upon this kind of web of relationships that it has been as we evolved as human beings. So there's a tendency to say, I don't need those other people. I can manage on my own. I don't need those connections. But if we take that route, then we are starving ourselves spiritually, and we're in for some trouble in the long run. So the church community that we have, it's a place where we come, where we're not concerned about our own needs, we're not concerned about our own security. We come here to say, our whole purpose in being here is to create relationships and be in relationship with other people, to give back to something that's bigger than ourselves. Without regard to what we're going to get out of it, what I'm going to get out of it personally for myself, and that's freeing because it means that I'm not concerned about losing this church community and the effect that will have on me. I come here to give and find that connection beyond myself, not trying to satisfy my own instincts, but instead trying to build this spiritual connection that I have with people here in this institution. And I'm very grateful that I have that community to fall back on today. There's a theory that the word religion means to reconnect or to rebind ourselves to something. And certainly, depending upon what our belief is, we either reconnect ourselves to God, if that's our belief, that we have a higher power that we call God, that we come to church to reconnect to. But if that is not our belief, if we believe in a humanist view, what is it that we're coming to reconnect to? We're coming back to reconnect to this idea that there is something bigger than us, something beyond us, that existed before we existed. We did not create ourselves. We came out of life. We came out of this earth as human beings. There was existence before we came along. We are cradled in that existence during the course of our lives, and after we have gone and we've passed on, there will be life will continue. The life of this community will continue. So the church gives us this idea that as we come into this world, we persist through it and then we pass out of it. There is something greater that we can serve that gives our life meaning and purpose. That's also something I'm very grateful for. Our closing number that our singers are going to sing for us is I'll Fly Away. So I think it's kind of appropriate that we finish on this idea that as a community we come together to celebrate the births of new members of our community, the babies that come into our community. We celebrate the losses together of people that we knew and honoured as part of our community who have now passed on. So although we know that we are mortal and that we will not exist in this form beyond this life, we have that sense of continuity in the community, either through our faith in God or our faith that the community will go on even though we're no longer with it. So thank you for listening to my remarks, and I'll invite our guest singers to come up and do our closing number for us. Thank you.
Shadows of this life have gone, I'll fly away. Like a bird from these prison walls has flown, I'll fly away. I'll fly away, oh glory, I'll fly away in the morning when I die. Hallelujah, by and by. and where joy shall never end, I'll fly away. I'll fly away, oh glory, I'll fly away in the morning when I die. Hallelujah, by and by, I'll fly away. Another chorus, here we go. I'll fly away, oh glory, I'll fly away in the morning when I die. Hallelujah, by and by, I'll fly away when I die. Hallelujah, by and by, I'll fly away.
Thank you very much to our guests today. We'll extinguish our chalice to close out our service. We extinguish our chalice, but we do not extinguish the light of love and community. We carry that forward with us into the week. Go in peace. And please pop some money in that basket for our guest singers. Thank you very much. And I guess we're not going anywhere because we have the congregational meeting at 12:30. So everybody, yeah, there's going to be coffee. Coffee's going to be oh yeah, you know, I forgot. We only just started serving coffee a couple of weeks ago. So yeah, please stay for coffee and conversation after the service. And after we've had our coffee, we'll have our congregational meeting. Thank you again to our guests.